Okay, so we are on episode 2 of our marriage discussions, and one of the topics, obviously, again, so several topics that people have given to us, but one of the topics that I thought was really interesting is fighting fair.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think first of all, I would like to define fighting in general, but then also fighting for us, because there's part of me that was like, what do we mean by fighting?
Yeah.
And what
What do we mean by fair?
Yeah, that's actually a great thought too. Maybe this could be 2 episodes. Yeah, well, and I think that's a good point, because in fairness, we say all the time, like, the word fair is not in the Bible.
Right.
And the word just is in the Bible. The world has kind of taken the idea of justice and what is just in a moment, and they use the word fair. So let's keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
But when this person brought up like fighting fairly, I was kind of challenged, because I was trying to think about whether or not we really fight.
Mm-hmm.
This is when I'm going to have a long pause and see what you have to say.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of fights.
No, we don't.
Maybe more disagreements, irritations, or things like that, and it usually centers around one of us being inconvenienced.
Yeah, that's true. So it's interesting that you say disagreements or irritation, because that is more what I was thinking. I was like, we definitely have disagreements.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go down that path for a minute in talking about disagreements, because I think that's probably where the majority of people fight, like full on have a fight. I think everybody, I don't know, maybe a lot of people do fight because they're just irritated with each other. But
Right.
Let's go down the path. Let's go down the path of disagreement, and how do we handle disagreements. So I'm curious if you were to say, like, what is a tip for guys, for men, when we face disagreement with your wives? What kind of a tip would you give to guys? I'm totally putting him on the spot, y'all. I'm totally putting him on the spot, but I know you're sharp.
Well, I go to our last video,
Yeah.
and we talked about checking your ego at the door. I think it's very important because as a man, winning's a big deal. Whether it's our favorite, athletic team, whether I'm playing checkers with the kids, I gotta crush them. That's what it's about, to be a man.
He
You
does
gotta
not
win.
engage in the family game times. I will say that for sure.
So winning's a big deal, and anytime as a man, I'm in a disagreement with somebody, I gotta win. So over the years, I think that's probably where I've had to learn that maybe the win is in compromise, or maybe the win is in laying my life down for her.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the win. Or do I even have to win? Is it really that big of a deal? Is my relationship with my wife more important than a quote win?
That's good. That's real good. And I think a lot of times we do put being right over the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the way you said that, like, hey, you have to really kind of say, like, is it more important for me to be right or for me to get this win than it is for me to just be in relationship with my wife? So good tip for the guys, and obviously very applicable for women as well, because a lot of women have, it's not just a guy thing, women have egos as well, which segues perfectly to, I think, to piggyback on that for women. It's two things. I'm like, I can't narrow it down to one, so I'm just going to give them both. One is you have to be willing to be wrong, and 2 is be willing to keep your mouth shut. I really feel like women are challenged in keeping just quiet, and being okay with being wrong, but also be okay with being wronged.
Yeah.
And so that kind of goes back to what you were saying, like, hey, for the sake of women, Jesus was wronged and he was right, but he was wronged.
Mm-hmm.
And the win was him laying down his life. I like the way you put that. Like, that was the win. The win wasn't, and people have heard me say this all the time, like, if I were Jesus, I would have risen from the dead, and I would not have gone to the upper room. I would have gone back to the temple and been like, "What up, suckers?" You know,
Right.
like
Maybe a few lightning bolts.
But he captures the character of meekness, which is, I have the right, but I'm not going to practice the right. I have the power, but I'm not going to practice the power. I have the authority, but I'm not going to practice the authority. I mean, that's what meekness is. And I think recognizing that there's power in that in marriage, and really kind of asking yourself, like, is this really worth it?
Mm-hmm.
We spend a lot of time and a lot of energy. I say we, people, not you and I. We never do this, dear. A lot of time, a lot of mental energy, a lot of words on things that at the end of the day really don't matter.
Right. And the more you listen, the more you learn about your spouse.
That's good.
And the more you just listen. And sometimes the response is unnecessary.
Yeah.
Because you've listened and you've learned and you understand where your spouse is coming from. And it may not have anything to do with you. It just may be as simple as a bad day.
Yeah, that's good.
And then you shift to a supportive role, and you come out of a disagreement into a supportive role, where it's like, what can I do for you today? What can I do for you in this moment? When, and this goes both ways.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Not, either way. But you have to listen. You have to, check your ego and listen.
That's good. That's real good. So check your ego, listen, be willing to be wrong, and be willing to be quiet. So those are 4 quick tips. I feel like we could discuss this all day long.
Yeah, those are good ones.
But we're going to end with that, because those are 4 quick tips that you should start practicing in your marriage.
And let us know how you do.
Yeah, let us know how you do. And let us know if you want more on this topic, because we have a lot more we could say, I think.
Absolutely.
But we're going to leave you hanging. So we'll end this by saying, enforcing purpose.
And enforcing you.
It starts with you.